So this is my evidence for domain 3 of my portfolio. Domain 3, 3A is about communicating with students. The evidence that I've pulled uh, for this is, things that we did through conferences, starting off with, allowing students to choose their topic and then helping them to kind of talk through them and narrow it down because students really struggled with that. Um, their letters were totally self-directed. They picked their own topic. They figured out what their reasons were. And students struggled with that a little bit. They needed help to kind of figure out, okay, what is my issue? Who is who can do something about it, and how do I ask for something reasonable? That was a big communication between myself and them and each other. And then our biggest thing was conferences. So I held in-person conferences every day of the workshop. I also gave feedback on Google to students I couldn't meet with. But this is a video I made of a conference that I had with Mary. And at the moment, I'm talking quite a bit, but these were really student-led conferences. So I just asked Mary to tell me about her paper. And the students were really kind of supposed to be responsible for um, knowing what they needed and asking questions and bringing their own thoughts to the table, which was super important to me in making sure they took responsibility for their work. Um, Domain 3C was about engaging students in learning, and a couple of things that um, I thought were really useful with regards to that had to do with engaging them in conversation about their own work. And sort of teaching them how to do those student-led conferences, how to figure out what they needed. So I developed a specific mini lesson. I called it peer review mini lesson, but it was really just about sort of self-directed um, conferencing, whether that be with a peer or whether that be with me. So we did this lesson on how do you make feedback effective? What do you need to do? You need to ask them questions. And the reviewer also has to be actively thinking critically about what they're reading. Um, and I walked them through a couple of ways we sort of went as a class to help them identify what they needed help with. I gave them suggestions of, okay, what's a bad question? What's a good question? And I thought that really engaged students in the process, not just by asking them to have conversations about their work, but teaching them how some strategies to go about doing that. Um, and the other thing with regards to engaging students in learning, I've already kind of talked about this in a different domain, but the self-evaluation rubric and examples I thought were really strong engagement in making the students consider, not only how do I do what I need to do, but okay, how did I do at it? Where did I succeed? Where did I struggle a little bit? I thought that was a huge part of engaging the students in their process. 3E is about demonstrating responsiveness and flexibility. And one thing that this is kind of hard to show because it's more of a mental process, but when I set out to do this unit, I mean, I had it actually planned. Part 1 was supposed to last until February 27th. And then I have this blacked out here because I ended up keeping it in the document. But then we were going to do another whole unit where we were going to basically do the same thing over again. And in the midst of this unit, I realized that this was going to take a little bit more time. I wanted to do some things to wrap it up, the self-assessment, and there were just some other sort of wrap-up reflective type activities that I didn't want to rush. I thought the students needed them, and I didn't want them to feel like I was trying to cram it all in. So I actually made the idea we were going to do technology, and then I actually had a third half of it, which a third chunk of it, which was going to be they were actually going to write sort of a research paper kind of thing, and I ended up ditching that. I shouldn't say ditching it. I tweaked it because I just felt like we would be better off doing something more focused in more depth and not not doing it so hasty than trying to cram. The other thing that changed, and again, this is kind of hard to see, but in my mini lessons that I did, my initial plan for mini lessons, I started out and I wasn't 100% sure what they were going to be, but I thought they were going to be revolving around the skills of the writing skills, the summary and the quoting and the responding, which was sort of the focus of our unit as it relates to synthesis. But I really had to be flexible and respond to what my students needed. For example, right off the bat, I realized, oh crap, they need help figuring out how to narrow down their topics. They kind of know, but are they going to ask the principal to do something that is actually done at a teacher level? And so they really needed help with that. And so I had to change and do my mini lesson about that. I realized that I could put them in pairs and tell them, okay, give each other feedback, but I realized that that wasn't going to be useful unless I taught them how to do that. So I added the peer review mini lesson. When I heard them freaking out about how to structure their letter, I very quickly, literally the night before I was supposed to do it, I changed my mind. I said, okay, I'm going to do a thing about structure. And I went and I found this really awesome resource from Harvard that helped them out. So I think the responsiveness and flexibility is a little hard to show on paper, but I can sort of verbalize the thinking process of where I changed my mind as I worked through the big unit. So that is my evidence for domain 3.